What if the path of your life is precisely the one that scares you the most? What if what you call the end is just the beginning of something greater? What if the sea before you is actually a mirror of what lies within? The silence that feels like abandonment, the delay that feels like injustice, the pain that feels like punishment. What if all of this is the crossing? Sometimes we are not lost. We are being guided down a road we do not yet understand, and the fear we feel is just the natural resistance of someone being reshaped from within. The headwinds, the weight of the past, the fear of taking the next step. These are not enemies, they are silent teachers. They are destiny itself, disguised as obstacles. Because destiny does not shout, it whispers. It does not ask for permission, it simply calls. And when it calls, you have two choices: to run or to cross. The question is not, why is this happening to me? The real question is, are you ready to cross the sea that separates who you are from who you need to become? Stay with me until the end, because this story holds one of the greatest lessons of silent courage and mature surrender ever told. It is not about victories proclaimed loudly. It is about steadiness in silence, about a kind of faith that needs to prove nothing to anyone. It is about accepting the path, not because it is easy, but because it is yours. And if you seek to grow within, with steadiness, with rational faith, with silence, subscribe to this channel. Here, every narrative is a trail of timeless wisdom, an invisible map for souls who do not want quick answers, but true transformation. Today, we will uncover the Stoic message behind "Do not fight fate," the crossing of the Red Sea. The sand burns beneath their feet, the desert does not welcome, it tests. The sun punishes without mercy, and the wind stirs the dust of a past that refuses to be forgotten. Behind them, the dry march of Egyptian horses splits the ground like drums of fury. The wheels of war, chariots creak like a harbinger of doom. Ahead, an impassable mirror. The sea, vast, silent, indifferent. Moses stands there, a man, alone. Not for lack of company, but because the weight he carries inside cannot be shared. Every step he takes is an invisible battle. He leads, but he also suffers. He guides, but he also fears. In his chest beats not just the heart of a leader, but the burden of an entire people who for centuries groaned in silence within Egypt's grasp. Freedom was only the beginning. The slavery of the body was left behind, but the slavery of the mind still lingers in the eyes of those who follow him, distrustful, anxious, fragile. The people, weary and confused, react. The voice of the crowd rises in despair. Complaints, accusations, tears, all mixed with the sound of approaching Egyptian soldiers. They say they would rather have died in Egypt, that at least there they had bread, shelter, routine. Now, freedom feels like a death sentence. To them, Moses is not a prophet. He is a risk, a mistake, a man who has brought them to the edge between the sea and the sword. And in the face of this, Moses does not shout. He does not justify himself. He does not argue. He listens, just listens, and the silence he chooses is more powerful than any words he could say. Because a true leader is not one who calms chaos with promises. It is one who remains whole within themselves when everything around them screams for despair. The sea remains still. The waves do not shift with human fear. The sky stays silent. No sign, no answer, no divine voice. It is in this space between danger and providence that the human soul confronts its true condition. Faith is proven when logic falls apart. The impossible stands before their eyes, and the violent past closes in at a gallop. There is no time, no way out, and yet there is a choice. Moses knows this. He stops, not to flee, to breathe, to listen to what the heart must remember, that there is a force greater than fear, an intelligence subtler than urgency, a providence that only reveals itself to those who trust, even without seeing. He raises his staff, not as a magician, but as a servant of fate. The gesture is not theatrical. It is ritual, a symbol of mature surrender, a simple movement, but one that represents the deepest of human attitudes, acceptance, not with passive resignation, but with steadiness. Moses does not demand, he trusts. He does not manipulate the outcome. He stands before the unknown and offers his full presence. And then, the sea parts, not with fury, as one might expect from a god trying to prove something, but with reverence, as if even the sea recognizes the presence of someone who does not retreat. The waters rise like walls of an invisible temple, not to impress, but to teach, because the crossing only exists for those who do not try to avoid what they must face. The people enter, first hesitant, then hurried. Their eyes carry fear, but their feet move forward. This is the purest faith, the kind that walks even while trembling. Moses, at the end, watches. He does not celebrate. He does not boast. He simply continues, because he understands something few do. The greatest crossing was not of the sea. It was of the soul that was once enslaved. The soul that once doubted now learns that there is a time for everything, a time to cry out, a time to be silent, a time to fight, and a time to accept. Moses' strength was not in his eloquence. It was in his silence, not in his will to control, but in his willingness to trust. He did not argue with the chaos. He crossed through it. This crossing is the most powerful metaphor we can carry. Each of us has our own Red Sea, a moment when everything seems closed, when the past pushes us and the future does not open. In those hours, you can either cry out like the people or breathe like Moses. The choice will always be yours, but the answer almost always comes from silence. Moses did not fight against fate. He did not try to negotiate with the sea, nor did he retreat from the merciless sound of Egyptian chariots. He did not beg for shortcuts, nor did he try to bend reality to his will. He simply accepted and crossed, not with euphoria, not with guarantees, but with the silent steadiness of one who understood something few dare to face. Fate does not need to be understood to be obeyed. It needs to be honored, as Epictetus would say. It's not things that trouble us, but our judgments about them. Reality does not shout. We are the ones who project onto it our expectations, our fears, our need for control. Pain exists, fear is real, but suffering is a construction. Moses had no power over what would happen when he raised his staff. He had no certainty that the sea would part, but he had power over the only thing that truly mattered: his own mind. The threat of Egypt, the silence of God, the pressure of the people, all of that was beyond his reach. But the response, that was his alone, and he chose steadiness. Steadiness is not hardness. Steadiness is clarity. It is serenity amid chaos. It is saying to fate, I receive you, even without understanding, and continuing to walk. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, accept without pride, let go without attachment. This is one of the greatest Stoic lessons. Attachment is not just to possessions, people, or positions. The subtlest and most dangerous attachment is to the illusion of control. Moses abandoned that. He left Egypt, but more than that, he left behind guilt, the need for approval, the craving to be understood. He led without needing to be exalted. He acted without needing applause. And that is what Seneca would call authentic virtue. True greatness lies in being great amid adversity. This is the virtue of endurance, not of pride, but of maturity, of one who has understood that fate is not something to fight against, it is something to cross through. The Stoics never preached passivity, they taught action without despair, courage without drama, strength without noise. Just like Moses, he did not try to appear strong, he was strong, without an audience, without speeches. Epictetus challenges us once more. What is in our power? Our opinion, our intention, our desire, our aversion. Moses acted within that exact field. He did not try to control the sea. He did not try to stop the Egyptians. He controlled his action, his intention, his focus, and because of that, he became an instrument of something greater at its core. The Red Sea was always there. What changed was the posture of the one facing it. This crossing does not belong only to the past. It repeats every day within us, every time we are challenged to trust when everything screams for despair, every time God's silence invites us to inner listening, every time pain has no explanation but demands posture. The true leader, the true sage, the truly mature human being is not the one who has all the answers. It is the one who has learned to cross with dignity, with steadiness, and with silence. This is the Stoic message behind the crossing of the Red Sea, a call to active acceptance, to serene action, to conscious surrender. Because some seas do not part by force, they part when you stop resisting, and you may not be in a literal desert, nor with an army at your back, yet you still feel trapped. The past chases you with voices you cannot silence. The future seems like a blurry, unreachable landscape, disconnected from your reality, and the present, sometimes, is just noise. A mix of urgency, expectations, demands, and fears. All at once, all crushing you from within. Perhaps you are living your own crossing. Perhaps your Red Sea is not made of water, but of doubts, of unresolved guilt, of decisions you've delayed for too long. Perhaps the silence that unsettles you is the same silence that preceded the parting of the sea for Moses. It is not emptiness, it is preparation. Ask yourself honestly, who betrayed you, and you still haven't forgiven? What conversation have you avoided for years? What pain are you hiding so you don't break down in front of others? What emotional desert have you refused to cross for fear of what you might find within yourself? Moses was also afraid, but he did not freeze. He kept going. And perhaps, like him, you need to stop trying to solve everything with force. Sometimes, strength lies precisely in acceptance, in taking a step, even without certainty of solid ground, in silencing the noise within to hear what the chaos is trying to show you. Is this silence that troubles you your preparation? Are these closed doors the invisible hand of fate trying to make you look in another direction? As Seneca said, difficulty reveals the man. And you? Have you been running from difficulty, or have you allowed it to reveal who you are? Because the sea you are seeing will not part with desperation. It does not respond to internal screaming. It responds to the silent maturity of one who surrenders without giving up, of one who says, I don't understand, but I accept, and I keep going. The truth is, we all, at some point, stand before something that seems impossible, a loss we don't know how to overcome, a decision we fear to make, a weight that seems endless. And in those moments, Stoicism does not offer magic, it offers posture. You do not need to control the sea, nor erase the past, nor know the entire future. You only need to cross one step at a time, even with fear, even in silence, even without applause. Do not fight against fate, learn to walk with it, because sometimes what seems like punishment is exactly the path to your inner rebirth. The wise man does not choose the easiest path. He does not ask for ease, does not flee from turns, does not negotiate with fate. He simply walks with dignity, with steadiness, and with silence, because he has understood that true strength is not in overcoming every challenge, but in crossing them without losing your soul. Life, in its deepest essence, is not made of shortcuts, but of crossings that are not won with shouts or despair. They are won with presence, with patience, with a steadfast heart even before the invisible. May you, too, learn to cross the seas of your life, not in haste, because haste is the enemy of maturity, but with purpose, because those who know where they are going do not despair at the silence of the path. They simply walk. Perhaps today you stand before something that seems impossible, a decision, a grief, a loneliness, a weight that gnaws at you inside. And perhaps there are no immediate answers, but there is a choice. You can stop and complain like the people, or you can withdraw and trust. Like Moses. The world does not need more noise, it needs more wisdom. And wisdom often is learning to be silent, to observe, to not react on impulse, but to respond with presence. If this story has touched something deep within you, if, in hearing of Moses crossing, you've glimpsed a part of your own, if you, too, are facing your silent ruin, your inner sea that refuses to part, consider following this channel. Here, we do not promise miracles, but we offer companionship. Reflections. Paths. Words that do not shout, but guide. Every video is like a silent compass for the soul, a reminder that you are not alone, and that within you already have everything you need to cross. After all, as Seneca said, not all winds are against you when you know where you are going. See you at the next crossing.